Ken, a river vlogger, asked me some questions about my video about the Clef House. So I'm going to answer them here. You caught me putting up an old vid, you sly one. That's a year-old vid about the Clef House, and I did cut that year. You asked how the cutting went this year. I couldn't. I just couldn't. But I actually liked the way it looked. I think I did put up a vid, maybe you missed it, talking about how I didn't cut the grass this year. So that's that. You asked, when did I build the structures? I actually have 5 structures, and what I've done here on Vloggerheads is try to put them up individually. So I've put up 2 now, the Glass House and the Clef House. So the next thing I'll put up another one. And I haven't done any construction in the last 4 or 5 years, I guess. I don't enjoy construction up there. I'm more interested in the land. I'm interested in trails and digging the scene that's been handed to me, right? With no structures. Structures so egotistic. So as you know, I don't have any ego problem. Oh, and then you asked if I ever had any functions up there. Not as many as I would like, but yes, I have. One year, we had a maypole in the meadow, and that was really great. I didn't have video at that time. It was a long time ago. So, but I do have some stills of that. I should scan them and put them up here. And for many years, I had a poetry festival there. I'd still like to go do that again. That's rather interesting. What happened with that poetry festival? I made an amphitheater. Well, it was a natural amphitheater. There was all rocks coming around, and then it came down. And then I made a place there, a little platform, and had a chair there. And I invited poets. They were almost all published poets. Then I usually played also, sitting there, played a little harmonium music or a little Chinese music or something for atmosphere. The people sat up on the amphitheater. One year, a gentleman came who I considered rather pushy, and he's a doctor, OBGYN, and he was the husband of a friend of mine. And he said he wanted to read a poem. He was from Australia, but he practices here in California. Well, I wasn't all that eager to have that happen because, I mean, these were all really fine poets. And he wanted to read a poem by somebody else, a famous Australian, or well, he wasn't even famous, I don't think, a friend of his or something. Anyway, I let him read it. It was terrible. And there was no way I could say no. Don't say no. So the next year, just before it happened, it's always on Labor Day weekend. Any poets out there that would like to come to the next poetry festival and read your work, that would be great. You could camp out up there. So I said, you can't read, that you're planning to do that again this year, you can't do it. It's only poets reading their own work. He had never written any poetry, but that didn't stop him. So he came with a long poem. It was about 3 pages long. It was about a childbirth delivery. It wasn't bad. It really wasn't bad. And then what happened was the next year, lots of people came who had never really written poetry, even some children, and with poetry that they wanted to read, poetry of their own they wanted to read. This is a whole lesson in letting go of control. It was turning into something which wasn't at all like I had planned, which was rather stiff, formal, real poets. Here were people writing poems to read at the poetry festival. So what we did is we'd start in the amphitheater, and the poets that had written poetry for the occasion, the would-be poets, the learning novice poets, let's call them that, read there. Then they picked up their rugs and pillows and things that we sit on, and we made a mass exodus. We stopped by the Clough House for some watermelon, and then continued on to Guardian Grove, where the illustrious poets read. I had by then developed another area which I call Guardian Grove, which is a very, very powerful space. It worked out so great because the young budding poets got to do their thing, and then they got to be really inspired immediately after by hearing these really fine poets read. So I haven't done it the last 2 years, but I have to. It takes a certain amount of organization. I just didn't have the energy for it. But maybe I will next fall, next Labor Day. And wouldn't that be great if there's any poets here that would like to read there? That would be wonderful.